Maybe that's okay. Let's go to Chief Meteorologist Dan Henry. Maybe you have some answers for us, Dan.
I noticed that. I'll have to look into that. It looks very interesting there.
Now, I don't know if anybody has seen this because this is not being reported anywhere, but the news actually captured weird lights over Dallas. Very weird, familiar lights. One may think this is Elon Musk and Starlink, but this looks nothing like Starlink. The Starlink satellites have a specific formation where you know that it is Starlink. What this looks like, well, to me anyway, it looks like those strange lights that appeared over Morocco right before their massive 7.0 earthquake that ended thousands of lives. You have scientists that say these strange lights are known as earthquake lights, that these come directly from the earth right before an earthquake, but they'll say, we don't know what causes it, it's just a phenomenon we can't explain. And then you have other scientists that will say, well then we can't say it comes from the earth, we can't say it comes from the earthquake if we can't explain it. How can we cause something if we can't explain it? So since nobody can give a decent explanation as to what these lights are, some people are assuming that this could be HAARP. This could be a form of weather modification, and rightfully so, because they told us they can manipulate the weather. They can make clouds, they can see clouds and make powerful rainstorms.
I mean, lasers? Really? To change the weather?
That's right. Well, as Mark Twain once famously said, everyone complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental.
It's experimental. However, in the laboratory so far it works. When you have water vapor and you have dust particles or ice crystals, you can precipitate rain. It condenses around the seeds. These seeds can also be created by laser beams. By firing trillion-watt lasers, you rip apart the electrons, creating what are called ions, and these ions act like seeds, like dust particles, bringing down rain and even lightning.
Go ahead.
They can manipulate hurricanes and make stronger or weaker hurricanes. So you mean to tell me they cannot manipulate the earth into making very powerful earthquakes? What's even more bizarre and what scientists cannot explain is why these so-called earthquake lights always appear to look different. Sometimes they look like an aurora borealis, sometimes they look like spheres, or sometimes they even look like a giant radio tower. So then you may be saying these strange earthquake lights happened a couple days ago. No earthquake has been reported in Texas. So this is not similar to what happened in Morocco. They saw those earthquake lights the same day that massive earthquake struck. But that's actually not the case at all. Just a couple weeks prior to this massive earthquake, there were spotlights racing back and forth in the skies of Morocco that nobody could explain. And they were going way too fast to be considered spotlights. Then a couple weeks later, strange lights appeared again in the skies of Morocco, and that's when that massive earthquake broke out. Then we had those green lasers coming out of the sky scanning the grounds of Hawaii in February. Then months later, we had those quote-unquote natural wildfires break out in Hawaii. Their excuse for those green lasers, I think it was China testing for pollutants. Maybe it was China testing for pollutants. Even though China, along with the United States, are some of the biggest contributors to pollutants. Why is China scanning for pollutants on a land that does not belong to them? Make that make sense. We just recently shot out a Chinese spy balloon out of the sky. We were making a big deal about it. But now China is bringing down green lasers to the United States, and you hear nothing about it. The government is very hush-hush about these lasers. Yeah, we have to keep our ass cheeks clenched about these balloons from China in the sky, but everything is normal about these green lasers from China in the sky. Yeah, okay. We all know where those green lasers came from. We all know how that man-made, natural fire started. Maui was one of the biggest land grabs in recent history. So it's very terrifying to see these lights over Dallas, especially when you had the FEMA director come out and say that this is our new normal. This crazy weather, this destructive weather is our new normal. Meaning what you saw in Maui is only the beginning. It may not be a fire next time, it may not be a hurricane, but it is coming and it will happen.
Extreme weather that we've seen all summer, from Hawaii, storms in Southern California. Is this in your view the new normal? Just summers where we're seeing these kinds of events more frequently and maybe more intense events than before?
What I can say is that we don't have a typical operational season like we've had in the past. We would normally prepare our staff to be on extra alert during the peak of hurricane season, which is where we find ourselves right now, but our operational tempo has been year-round. We started with atmospheric rivers in California in January, extreme tornadoes in the spring, to the wildfires, and now we are in peak hurricane season. And we have had an unprecedented number of disaster requests from governors because of the extreme weather that they're experiencing. This is our new normal. This is the operational tempo that we find ourselves in.
So this question to the FEMA director was nothing more than a planted question by FEMA, by the government, to let us know what they're doing. They even have articles they are releasing ahead of time letting us know 1 billion people will have their lives ended from climate change by 2100. And like I said before, that number 1 billion is very, very generous. Just read how ominous some of these articles are. World's richest will cause mass death, mostly poor people in developing nations. But it's not just going to be developing nations, it's going to be all over the world, because they have this laid out under the UN's 2030 agenda, the United Nations 2030 agenda for a better, more sustainable world. They have to change the layout of the entire world. They want complete control. They want to lock us down. They want to stop us from traveling. They want to stop us from flying and creating a ton of emissions. They want to create these 15-minute smart cities so we can say we have everything we need right here. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not me creating fear and panic. You can go on the UN's website, the UN 2030 Agenda website, to see what they have laid out. All the changes they want to make it a better world for them. Outside of HARP, you do have very, very, very few channels who also believe this could be Project Bluebeam. One of those channels that I am subscribed to is A Call for an Uprising's new channel, An Eye for an Eye, which he does also believe this could either be HARP or Project Bluebeam. I am a huge fan of A Call for an Uprising. Matter of fact, he inspired me to create these style of videos. So if you do like my channel, make sure to check out his newest channel as well, An Eye for an Eye. He does a great job exposing these scumbags. We have been seeing planes just falling out of the skies. We have been seeing planes with very peculiar major turbulence. We have been seeing people even claiming to see non-human entities on their planes. So is it outside the realm of possibility that Project Bluebeam may have already been initiated and is messing with the navigation of planes? It's causing people to see weird images inside their planes. I am not going to talk too much about Project Bluebeam because I am creating a much bigger video on the topic, but it's always good to be aware of such projects because we are hearing more and more about UFOs and aliens in the media lately. And UFOs and aliens go hand in hand with Project Bluebeam. So does all this quote-unquote natural disaster style of weather. So yeah, I just wanted to make a video about these strange lights that were seen over Dallas that are very similar to the lights that were seen over Morocco and also other places as well, such as Turkey. It's also very weird how the media did not come out and explain what they saw. Anytime something weird is picked up in the skies, especially from the media, they'll come out and say, well, it was only a rocket. We found out that it was indeed a satellite. Those weird spheres that you see in the sky where it looks like an alien is sitting in one of those spheres giving you the middle finger, that's not a UFO or alien at all. That's just the Earth's gravitational pulling on the Earth's crust, creating that mirage. So you can just ignore that. By the way, did you hear Tay-Tay has a new boyfriend? You never heard or seen anything like this in your entire life, but when it does happen, the news is ready to say, well, this has always happened. It's a phenomenon, but we have always been aware of it happening. But oddly enough, when it comes to these lights over Dallas very early in the morning, the news is rather quiet. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.